Hello, I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and with me is the three-time Emmy winner Margo Martindale, featured in the new film Uncle Frank, streaming right now on Amazon. And Margo, Alan Ball wrote and directed this movie, and like the family in the film, he comes from a Southern family, as do you, from down in Texas, I believe. And I was wondering, because some of it seems to be very personal for him, did he tell you about his family experiences and ask you to draw on any of that for the character?
Well, not really. He It was loosely based on his father,
Hmm.
I believe, and I mean Peter probably could tell you more about that. But you know, he picked this group of actors, I think, because this is a really our home base. Most of us, and we're all friends, which was just an incredible treat. And just the greatest. I mean, not I'm not saying that about myself, but it's a fantastic group of character actors that just thrill me and are buddies of mine, and it was a joy to be with.
Yeah. And you, of course, play Mama, the sort of matriarch of the family. And I loved in the opening scene, you and Lois Smith are there in the kitchen, and the family's coming in, and you're baking, and it's a great cast who plays this family with Steve Zahn and Judy Greer, this whole great cast. And you really, in that moment, you just know these people. It immediately sets the tone of who this family is. Did you all have to do anything specific to capture that family dynamic?
Lois and I are friends. We worked together in a movie. Steve Zahn played my son in a movie. Steve Root and I have been friends a long time, though we've never worked together. And Judy Greer and I worked together in two things. So it it was just a joy, and it was an instant fit for us. We know how to. That's our world of, we know how to fill that world with reality, I think. And there were a couple of gals that were local, not necessarily local, but that area actresses. I'm sorry, I'm no school person. Um, um, Jane McNeil and Katie Brewer, who just added and kind of filled in that whole world.
Yeah. And when you create a character, are you drawing on any inspiration from real people in your life to add into Mama?
Sure, absolutely. People I know, people who remind me of this. I did have in my head about her that she should have had some being married to the man she's married to, and being the mother of these boys, that she had some flair and style that she never changed from when she was in high school, which is almost just like me. But I don't know that I have the style I had in high school. But for so many years, I wore the same flip.
Yeah. Well, it's good to keep what works.
Yes, it does. It is.
And Paul Bettany is great in this film. He plays your son, Uncle
Just
Frank, of the
wonderful.
title.
Absolutely.
And there's the scene where we first sort of see the dynamic with Frank and the family is that birthday party scene. Stephen Root, as the father, is given the gift by Frank of the electric shoe polisher and sort of berates him of why would you give me this? And your character seems to notice that and sticks up for him. Do you think she's always noticed the sort of tension there between them?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that she has always jumped in, cushioned the blow, cushioned the hurt feelings, made it okay in some kind of way, knowing that the meanness came from somewhere, and that she tried to protect him. Absolutely. That's her son.
Yeah. And of course, the next time I think the next scene we see in that room is the reading of the will with everyone gathered, which is absolutely brutal because Frank's dad just leaves him with disgust, leaves him with nothing. And it's a absolutely heart-wrenching scene. What was that like to film in person?
Well, it was as hard to do as it was hearing it, because you couldn't really believe that anybody could have been that cruel, but he was.
Mhm.
And it stemmed from an insecurity and a fear. It's really all I can say.
Yeah. What I also loved is seeing that moment, and then a few beats later, your character calls Frank back into that room and sort of, in order to say, you know, I will always love you. Nothing could stop me from loving you, no matter what. What was the? It's a very emotional moment. I think it's a very important scene for queer people to see. And what was that like shooting that with Paul?
It was really sweet.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I did the movie, is to
Mm-hmm.
get to say that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I am so full of emotion today, but I am. I guess you started me off.
Well, that's why you're able to capture those scenes really well, I think.
Yeah, but it was, you read something and I said, I knew that we were all an ensemble, and
Mhm.
it would be just a lovely group, and it was Alan Ball, and we were all there because it was Alan Ball, and the script was so beautiful. But I wanted to say those words.
Mhm. I loved the way he framed it too, because your mama is sitting in, in the dad's chair now that he's gone, and it's almost like she says, I'm the leader now, and I'm going to make the moment right. I'm going to undo what just happened. Is How did you discuss the sort of framing of that
Well,
scene?
you know what? I don't think we discussed it, and I just think that was something Alan did without even telling me.
Hmm. It works very well because you sort of, it's almost like mama says, actually, I'm in charge now, and I'm taking this house and putting it in a positive light.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And,
Yes. Go ahead.
oh, sorry. And she immediately welcomes Wally into the family, played by Peter McDeesey. Do you, do you think that's difficult for her? Do you think she has to make a great leap in order to sort of pull in this stranger all of a sudden?
Yes, I think it was not the easiest thing, but by golly, she was going to do it because that was what was right. And I love it. I love it when I mean, it makes me cry again, but when Steve's songs, I love this movie.
Yeah.
I'm so sad. I am absurd today.
Well, it's an
I can't
emotional
even
film,
say
I
it,
think.
but what Steve Zahn says
Yeah.
to him, you know, um, is, I have 3 words for you. Oh, just so great.
Right. And he says, no problem.
No,
It's,
not a problem.
yeah. It's an interesting dichotomy with the movie because a lot of it's sort of bookended by the family where you come in. So much of the movie is this road trip movie with Paul Bettany and Sophia Lillis and Peter. And then you get to sort of see these people who are the outsiders rediscover the family dynamic. And did it feel like they were sort of coming into that when you were filming it?
That when they were coming in and rediscovering.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think of Sophia too, Beth, absolutely seeing her family through different eyes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and Paul seeing the family through different eyes,
Yeah.
and Peter seeing the family that he always thought was there.
Right.
So interesting, it's always give you perspective when somebody from your other world comes into this world. It's like, how do they see us? What do we look like? It's a very interesting dynamic. I remember going home from I went to school at the University of Michigan and going off to I worked at Harvard and then came to New York. But when I would go home and bring friends from school or friends from New York, I always felt like I had to be who I was and not somebody who had gained uh, any worldliness and knowledge. I kind of reverted. So it was sometimes hard to bring people into the world that I grew up in.
Yeah. Yeah. The film is really, I think all of Alan's projects I would describe as very intimate and very personal human stories. Do you find in our moment right now that those opportunities to tell that type of story are rare, or are we finding more places? What is your experience?
Well, these small movies, these sweet small movies are, have a hard time rising to the surface. Um, we're seeing things like that in you know, movies that are told over 10 episodes.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I mean, I guess that's where our movies sort of are now. But it's a joy to get to do these small movies because it's really what people used to go to the movies for. Uh, I think, I guess, let's just take our hats off to those people who are buying them and putting them on a form for this year. For this year,
Mhm.
uh, which was an odd, awful, unusual year. Um, we we got to People got to zero in on these movies. Maybe they would have been lost otherwise.
Yeah. I think this film would have been impactful regardless because it's just, good storytelling. But I think after living through this pandemic, and I think everyone has had a bad experience at some point this year. It makes the humanity of it stands out and the heart of it stands out. And after living through this, does that make you consider like what types of stories you're hunting down to
Yes,
tell?
it makes me consider also what I shouldn't do
Mm,
for myself.
yeah.
Yes.
I had I talked to Sophia before, and she was saying how Alan is a director who really knows what he wants, and he doesn't do that many takes. Uh, is that your experience with him? And what
Yes,
is?
if he needed something, he would tell you. We didn't do it very much. I thought, I don't have any idea what this is going to be like. And also, I didn't know that the Khalid, the cinematographer, I didn't know he was shooting it in that style of the period. I mean, that lens that evoked that feeling. But all of that added to this whole complete little film. It's really absolutely beautiful. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, to switch gears for just a second, because I have to, when I was excited to be speaking with you today, and I was telling people, every person I think I said, I'm going to be talking to Margo Martindale. They said, do you mean esteemed character actress Margo Martindale from BoJack Horseman fame? And I think I had heard previously you hadn't watched your amazing cameo in BoJack Horseman, but have you had time since the pandemic to go and watch any of that?
Don't tell anyone. I have not. I really, I intend to, and then I forget.
We'll keep it a secret.
Okay.
We won't tell anyone involved. But you also, at Gold Derby, we cover awards races, of course, here, and you have won three Emmy Awards out of 6 nominations. 2 of them were back to back for the Americans, and I'm just curious. You've had a very full career, and then all of a sudden, it seems like awards bodies have suddenly caught on to you. What does that continued recognition mean to you to keep getting recognized by the Emmys?
Well, just a joyride, really. It's what I don't mean. Yes, I wanted to be recognized. Absolutely, I wanted to be recognized. Bobby Cannavale always laughs at me because he wanted me to do a play. He was doing a play, and I'd been offered the play, but not in a part that I, wanted to play. And I said, look, Bobby, at this stage of my life, I'm looking for awards. And I was just making a joke. And he said, and by God, the next year you had won one. So, I mean, just silliness. I didn't want to play that third banana in this. And I would play the third banana in lots of things. But in this particular play, I didn't want to play it.
Well, it's certainly been a great run for you, and a fantastic job in Uncle Frank. So everyone who's out there watching, thank you for sitting down. Make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby and keep in touch with us throughout this season. And Margo, it has been a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. You're so beautiful, and thanks so much.
Thank you.